Hey folks, Sheriff Mark Lamb here. So I am sitting with Sheriff Elect Ross Teeple. It's an honor to be with you today.
Thank you, my friend.
And we want to take a few moments just to for you to get to know Ross a little bit. But I wanted to first just say thank you so much. It has truly been one of the greatest honors of my life to be able to serve as the Sheriff of Pinal County for the last 8 years. I'm just so blessed to have gotten to know so many of you in the community, to have had your support, to work with the great men and women that work here at the Pinal County Sheriff's Office. Thank you does not encompass what is in my heart and how I feel for Pinal County and the Pinal County Sheriff's Office. And so I just want to first and foremost start off with that, and then take the opportunity to introduce you to Ross Teeple, Sheriff Ross Teeple.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I want to thank the citizens of Pinal County, especially so, for you guys having the trust and the gratitude and the strength to vote for me and wanting to continue on with the legacy that is Mark Lamb. I can tell you I've been all over this county, speaking to as many people as I possibly can, getting out there, knocking on as many doors. And when I talk to the people, it's overwhelming how many people just absolutely adore this man and the way that he has run Pinal County and made this the safest large county in Arizona. And that's directly related to you.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably one of the only people in Pinal County that wishes you would have done a better job. I have really big shoes to fill because you did an amazing job in stepping into them. There's nowhere to go but up, but there's a lot of way to go down, and I'm not going to allow that to happen.
And look, I feel bad that we thrust you into this, but you were absolutely the right person for the job. If you don't know the background, I felt strongly about running for the U.S. Senate here in Arizona, but to be able to do that, we had to find somebody that was willing to run, and somebody that would be a good sheriff, and somebody that was going to be able to fill the shoes. And we sat together and we kind of went through, and when Ross's name came across our table, he's a lieutenant currently at the sheriff's office. Well, at least
for 3 more days.
3 more days, and then he retires and then comes back on as the sheriff. So. But we sat down, and when Ross's name came up, we said, boom, that's the guy. And I will tell you, most people don't realize how much work goes into running for elected office, let alone sheriff behind somebody who has a big name recognition within the county. And Ross took it and ran with it, got in early, which meant he had to campaign for well over 1.5 years. And man, I don't think there was a better person for it. And it kind of divine intervention, whether it's God or just knowing you were the right person, 100% convinced that you were the right person to be the 25th sheriff of Pinal County.
Well, I appreciate that, and it was right in this room. I will always remember that because I was on my day off working on my Jeep, and I get a call from Chief Harrell, and he says, if I want to come in and talk to you and Chief Thomas, and I was like, the top 3 of our agency want to speak to me. Do I need to bring in my badge and my gun? Am I getting fired? Then you guys called me in here, and I was sitting on that couch and said, hey, we want you, I'm running for Senate. I remember turning to Chief Thomas and saying, great, how do we get you elected? And he goes, I don't want it, dude. We want you to run for sheriff. And I remember my first thing was, wait, is this April Fool's? And it was a daunting task because going out there, now I will never have the name recognition that you have. You've done an amazing job. I will never be famous enough to have a bobblehead named after or produced after me. But to be out there to be recognized as an Arizona law enforcement professional was my goal, and that was something that you and I talked about. And I have to say, thank you for promoting me to lieutenant because it's what allowed me to be in the position that you felt comfortable asking me to run for sheriff. But thank you so much for your mentorship. It was February of 2023. We both dived into this and got out there and just hitting as many police. If people don't know, Pinal County is the size of the state of Connecticut. And so you're running for basically statewide office for the state of Connecticut, and you have to go to all 4 corners of Pinal County and speak to everybody, because that's why it's so important, because the sheriff works for you. He needs to go and speak to the people directly and find out what they're concerned with, what we're doing well, and more importantly, what you think we could be doing better. And that was something that Sheriff Mark Lamb has guided himself under the entire time he's been sheriff. Heck, that was what guided you when you were a deputy with us, and you and I were kicking in doors together in Santan Valley.
Yes, sir.
What are we doing right, and let's fix it.
So you can see why we knew that this was the right guy to run for sheriff. You know, one of the biggest things we believe in here at the Sheriff's Office is protecting your constitutional rights. We're peacekeepers. Our job is to protect your constitutional rights. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to take people to jail when they break laws. But first and foremost, we're just out trying to really just keep the peace and protect. And Ross said it as much, all of your constitutional rights, the Second Amendment, all of those things are first and foremost in his mind, and how he treats the employees. The employees are excited to have Ross as the Sheriff Elect, and going to be Sheriff Ross Teeple in just a matter of a few weeks. As surreal as it is for me, I think I'm probably just as excited for Ross stepping into this role and watching what he's going to do with the Sheriff's Office over the next, who knows how many years. I think it's going to be a long time.
Yep. And one thing that I just recently talked to you about that kind of hit me is the fact that we're in a unique situation in history right now that once I take over office, there will be 5 living Pinal County sheriffs. And wouldn't it be monumental? We're going to make that happen where all 5 living Pinal County sheriffs from number 20 to number 25 all take a group photo together so we can have it down in the lobby.
I love it. Ross Sheriff Teeple reached out to me the other day and asked me about this, and I think there's probably not a lot of counties where you have 5 sheriffs that are able to take a picture together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all for it. I think it's going to be great. So what are your plans moving forward?
First plan moving forward is got to get the detention officers a pay raise, something that Sheriff Lamb was already working on and he tasked me with when we started down this road, but we got to get the detention officers and our civilian staff better pay, so it's better retention. We got to increase retention as far as this county goes, reduce response times in rural areas of the Pinal County. That's something that's going to increase with staffing. That's why we're so grateful for the Board of Supervisors for passing the pay raise last year and working with us on that. Our retention is great. Now we're working on the recruitment, getting more sworn officers there so we have more filled beats so we can reduce response times and just get out there and listen to the people. One thing that was a real eye-opener to me is I knew what I thought the Sheriff's Office could do better, and I knew what we recognized that we could work towards, but getting out and speaking to the people, 2 things that come directly from the voters is teaching run, hide, fight at the schools, active shooter training at the schools. So many teachers, aides, and administrators came to us and was expressing the fact that they're seeing an increase in school bullying after the COVID lockdowns. We should have never locked everybody down anyway, but we locked them all down. They lost their social skills. We all know how easy it is to be a big man with a keyboard on the internet when now these individuals are coming to school trying them same exact techniques and they're getting bullied by actual real physical bullies. So that's something that we want to address. And then something that we also want to address is the fact that we've done an amazing job of making sure that felony animal cruelty does not exist in Pinal County, but now that Pinal County is projected to double in growth in the next 10 years, we're going to see a lot of people from heavily populated urban cities of Phoenix and Tucson move into Pinal County, and we want to make sure that we stay on top of investigating criminal felony animal cruelty cases. So that's something that both of those came from the public was, hey, what are you doing to stay in front of it, and what are you doing to assist school bullying?
I love it. I love both of those. I know one of the common questions I get is Sheriff Teeple going to keep Fridays with Frank? So is Fridays with Frank sticking around?
Fridays with Frank is definitely sticking around. It's one of the questions I get the most is Frank still going to be around? Mark, through the last couple of years, has stopped introducing himself as the American Sheriff. He is the American Sheriff, but here locally, he likes to introduce himself as Frank's boss. So the quote that Frank and I came up with was make Ross my next boss.
There you go. And it worked.
It did.
They did. They made Ross the next boss.
Yeah.
Now we've got like the youth redirection program, some of these other things that, we've been able to creatively find ways to fund these. What's your plan moving forward with like the youth redirection program, the reentry program at the jail? I know these are big hot topics in society now too.
Yeah, the juvenile redirection program is invaluable, and I want to see it continue on, and just want it to prosper. The earlier we can intervene with someone, the better. The less likely they are to really go down that path. We want to turn them the correct way at the earliest possible. And then the other thing is is we all have them moments of clarity where our mindset changed. The one for me is I arrested an individual in Dudleyville, Arizona, which is a real rural unincorporated city in eastern Pinal County. A couple days later, this individual gets released from jail, and he's trying to walk home on a dirt road called Florence Kelvin Highway, which is not a highway, it's a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, and I gave him a ride home. I truly believe if I wouldn't have given that individual a ride home, he would not have made it home that night. So the reentry program is really, it's an invaluable need because we can identify those individuals that could use the help, that could use that to get the training and the expertise and the life skills so they don't have to reoffend. Because let's look at the facts. The majority of people that commit criminal activity are of a childbearing age. So they usually have children or multiple children. So if we lock them up and not give them the life skills so they just continuously reoffend, then all we're doing is creating another generation of criminal and bad actors underneath them.
You know, I always said when I first became sheriff, I thought, we'll give them bread and water and send them on their way. But then I realized real quickly, less than a week into being a sheriff, that I have a responsibility as a sheriff to return a better product than what I got. Mm-hmm. And I know you feel the same way. When we get people, we don't always get them in their best condition. Our goal in the jail here is to hold people accountable, but when they've served their time and when they've done what they've been asked to do, we help them get back on their feet. And that's what the reentry program's for, is really helping these folks get back and get back into society and have the most success possible so that we reduce recidivism as much as possible. So.
And to segue off of that, to hold people responsible, one of the things that I don't know if you guys have heard the recent court ruling, but as you will not find a more Second Amendment sheriff than me. I get a little bit geeky as far as that goes, as far as the technology and stuff goes, but one of the things that I was really happy about in Pinal County is the ATF, which is not a legislative authority, determined that a forced reset trigger was now an illegal piece of firearms accessory, even though they can't pass legislation. The ATF required people to turn those in and actually went around counties trying to collect those. Well, recently a federal judge agreed with what all common thinking law enforcement officers recognized is the ATF overstepped their bounds, and now the courts have actually ordered the ATF to return those forced reset triggers to individuals, where we never allowed that to happen in Pinal County. We will not go door to door collecting your firearms because that's your Second Amendment liberties, and we will not assist anyone in doing so.
I love it. I know I made that call to the ATF and said, hey, not in this county.
That's exactly right.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned one more thing I want to talk about. We get a lot of scams. People say they get a call from somebody saying, hey, you have a warrant here in Pinal County, and they use real names from real sergeants or deputies, or sometimes even the sheriff's name, to make it seem legit. Then they try to keep you on the line. Any messages to those folks out there that might be victims of these? We don't call for warrants, first of all. Well, we did a video about that. We don't do federal grand jury warrants here in the county either.
I like your video because it addresses a real serious issue, but you did it in a comical way that's memorable, where you're like, hey, this is Sheriff Lamb. And then you're like, nah, it ain't. I'm Sheriff Lamb, which was great. But here, a more recent aspect of it, the director of animal control, because again, we're working those inroads, and I've been talking to the Arizona Humane Society about getting the proper training and stuff, and talking with animal control. Here in Pinal County, the latest trend of this is, and you talk about tugging on people's heartstrings, is there are people that are going to call you up, they're going to claim that they're from Pinal County Animal Control, and they have your animal, and your animal's about ready to be euthanized unless you pay them money. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if my beautiful wife, I don't believe in reincarnation, but if I did, I'd want to come back as one of her horses. And all I could
That's the truth. I've seen it. Yeah.
And all I could think of is if you called my wife up and said that her horse was going to be euthanized, she would much quicker pay that than if you told her she had a warrant for arrest. Because she'd be like, I'll go spend some time in jail, I'll take a relaxation visit. So that's the next scheme that we're seeing now is we've gotten the information out there about law enforcement are not going to call you up and say, you've got a warrant for your arrest for missing jury duty. But now they're really tugging on people's heartstrings. But it's really hitting Pima County right now, so we want to get in front of it and tell that to the people of Pinal County, that Pinal County Animal Control will not call you up and require that you pay money so your animal's not euthanized. Pinal County Animal Care and Control is a no-kill shelter.
Yeah. So if anybody calls you, whether they're from the sheriff's office, animal control, or anywhere, hang up. And if you have any concerns, call us and ask us. We can tell you firsthand whether that's true or not. And as far as warrants, we don't do that. We don't call and tell you. If you have a warrant, you're gonna probably get picked up on a traffic stop, or SWAT will show up at your door. I don't know if it's a bad enough warrant. And then animal control, obviously, it's terrible. There's people that prey on elderly, prey on people that love animals, prey on people's fears. So don't do it. What's your wife's latest horse's name? So Sheriff Teeple made an agreement with his wife when he ran that she would be getting a what?
A new horse. The agreement I made with her is if I got elected sheriff, and thanks again, the citizens of Pinal County, for electing me to be your 25th sheriff. And so the agreement is if I made sheriff, she was going to get a new horse. I kind of figured one day when she left driving her mega cab, pulling her horse trailer with no horse in it, something was up. And she came back home last May with a little colt. And when she pulled up with it in, I walked out and I was like, "Hey, what's this?" And she goes, "This is a baby, and its name is Sheriff."
So you see the sign behind us. I don't know if you can see it, but it says there's a new sheriff in town. That's not Sheriff Teeple. That's Sheriff the horse. That's the new sheriff in town.
Who's? I think I'm going to follow a friend's example, and I might have to create my own Instagram account for the horse, because lately that's all I get comments is more baby sheriff, more baby sheriff, and I know they're not talking about me.
If you're smart, you'll do it. Yeah. Well, Sheriff, thank you so much. It's been an honor to not just work with you, but to watch you, how you went and carried yourself and represented the sheriff's office while you were running for sheriff. I'm so impressed. I'm excited for you and what you're going to be able to do here at the sheriff's office. And thank you to everybody out there for your faith in me and faith in our deputies, our detention officers, all of the employees here at the sheriff's office. We just cannot thank you enough for everything you do. We hope you have a great Christmas this year, New Year's. Any parting words for the folks?
Just, especially for the employees, keep doing the amazing job that you guys are doing. Really just so grateful to be part of such an amazing PCSO family. To the voters, thank you so much for putting your trust in me. Again, if you have any type of contact whatsoever, if you have any type of communication, I'm there for you. You can reach out for me. And I just want to thank Mark Lamb, because as far as a law enforcement professional serving his country and his county with honor, thank you for what you did. You led by example, and you continue to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. God bless.